Okay, so a few people have asked me what my opinion is on the Cobra 1 length irons. Now, I haven't really hit them before, and it's been about 8 months since it's been released. So I finally thought I'd bring it out, put it up against my irons, and see how we go. Okay, so let's have just a quick chat about these first of all. Now, when they say 1 length, they mean literally that they are 1 length. From pitching wedge all the way through to your 4-iron, 3-iron, it's cut to 7-iron length. Lofts on these irons are roughly 2 degrees more than the standard irons, or player's iron, because this is what you consider a player's iron, considering it's a forged head. Now, there are 2 models in the 1 length. There's the F7 and the F7 forged 1 iron. Now, the forged 1 iron, from what I've been told, is the exact right shaft in each of these irons, just cut to 7-iron length, whereas in the F7 series, they are all 7-iron shafts in different heads. So that's the major difference between this one, or the 2 different types of 1 length irons in the Cobra. I'm going to hit the forged irons. I'm going to hit pitching wedge, 7-iron and 5-iron. And you'll see the numbers coming up and a bit of a comparison between the 2, and we'll see how they go. We'll start with pitching wedge first. Okay, so straight away when you're looking at these 2 models here, you can see my pitching wedge with the black grip and the Cobra with the blue grip, so you'll always be able to define the difference between the 2 because of the grip colour. You can see straight away that the Cobra pitching wedge is roughly 1.5 to 2 inches longer than my pitching wedge. So I'll hit the Cobra first, and then I'll hit my one second, and then we'll see what the difference is between the 2. Now, just be aware I am hitting off a mat at the moment, because probably a few of you are asking that question. Reason I'm hitting off the mat is the SkyTrack is having a little bit of difficulty picking up readings with all the sand on the ground. Because it's an infrared camera, I think the sand's giving a bit of a reflection. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, as the course recovers from its scarifying, I'll be back on normal grass. But for the purpose of this, we're going to be hitting off the mat. Now, just to let you know, SkyTrack is the launch monitor I'm using, and Titleist NXT Tour S yellow balls is what we're using to do all the testing. Now, pitching wedge first of all. Hardest thing to come to grips with when hitting this club is the length of it. Straight away, every time I'm picking it up and I'm looking at the loft of this head, I always want to grip down on it to more of a standard length. But I'm going to grip it all the way at the top, which is what I'm supposed to do with this, and we'll have a few hits. Now, as you go through, you'll see the screen come up in the top right hand corner here, showing you all the readings with this club. Okay, without going into too much detail, and you'll see the images coming up on the screen now, it does fly higher than what I'm used to seeing. I'm a bit surprised by the spin numbers. I was expecting the spin numbers to be a little bit higher, and that's probably not that high simply because I'm actually hitting a proper pitching wedge shaft. Could imagine it would be different in the other 1 length set when I'm hitting a 7-iron shaft in this model. But it is flying extremely long. I'm usually about a 105 to 107 with my pitching wedge, and this is getting out about 115 from what I just saw just then. Try one more, and then I'm going to switch over to the colorway. But extremely high ball flight. That wasn't my best one, that one. There you go, 124. So that's a very, very, very long pitching wedge for me. Right, I'm going to grab my colorway now, and I'm going to quickly go to the computer and change the club so we get a different color. So then we can actually see the difference in flight and see if there is a big difference. So just so you know, I'm using Callaway Apex Pro iron. So here we go, pitching wedge. Okay, should come up orange on your screen, and straight away I can see the ball flight is a lot lower. I'm actually a lot more comfortable with this as well because it's a lot shorter. Spin numbers are down as well in comparison to the other model. Couple more. You are. I hope I don't shank it. Okay, a couple more. That was Robin Rindell for anyone who wants to know. Let's come up on the screen again. That was a slightly better hit. 105, so you can see straight away there's roughly 15 meters difference between the two. Actually no, maybe 10 meters difference. And that one felt like a really solid one for me. Alright, one more. And there you go, there's a distance coming up again. I think the hardest thing to come to grips with the pitching wedge is probably the length change between the two. Straight away when I picked up that pitching wedge, I wanted to grip down on it. Whereas this one here, I just feel automatically comfortable with it. But that's probably just because I'm used to hitting this length, and I've hit this length my whole life. One more, just because I'm enjoying it. There you go. There's a pretty good comparison between the two. So straight away the Cobra is longer, simply because of the fact that it is probably a longer iron than my pitching wedge. Let's shift on now to the 7-iron. I actually decided to scrap the 7-iron because it's pretty much comparing same versus same, and really what I'm looking for when I'm comparing these two irons is to show the difference between one length and a standard iron. So as you can see now, I'm moved up into the 5-iron, and you can see how this 5-iron's a lot shorter. It's funny, it'll be interesting to see how I hit this, because it actually gives me a little bit of a sense of confidence, because 7-iron is actually my favourite club to hit, and having a 5-iron that is the same length as my favourite iron should give me a little bit of a helping hand. So let's start with the Cobra first, and then we'll move into my iron. So it is very unusual looking at this because of how short it is and with how little loft there is in this iron. So it'd be very interesting to see how this flies. Again, I've hit that one a little bit right. Seems to be like I'm hitting everything right today. Now 168, it's a little bit short than what I'm used to hitting a 5-iron. See if I can get out a little bit straighter with my shots. But the ball flight was extremely low. That was a really bad one. See that come up on the screen now, fairly low. Alright, try again. But yes, an extremely low ball flight. And when I start hitting the Callaway and you see a different colour come up, you'll probably see that yourself. Very low. It's kind of getting down on the ground too early, so I'm not getting the run that I like. Slightly bit higher again, a little bit right. Onto my Callaway 5-iron. Straight away, a lot longer, something a little bit more I'm used to. Feels a bit more normal to me. Straight away a little bit longer. It's funny, the Cobra was long, but because it didn't have that ball flight, it seemed to fall out the air really quick. And when it lands on the grass, it just doesn't run as much because it didn't have as much flight time. Again, that one's a little bit right. Couple more, we'll see how we go. Again, straight away it's flying a lot higher than the Callaway, and hopefully you can see that on the screen that it is going. The Callaway flies a lot higher than the Cobra, I should say, and hopefully you can see that on the screen. You can see that the Callaway's coming up in orange and the Cobra was in white. But definitely longer, and I think it's longer because of the overall carry. It's not hitting the deck as quick. And like I've always said, I've never been a long hitter. But in saying that, today I'm not feeling the best and my swing isn't the best. But I'm getting the desired result out of what I'm trying to find out about these two clubs. So I guess the big thing is the one length worth it? My personal opinion is if you're going the one length iron, I probably wouldn't get all of them at the one length. I'd probably get the pitching wedge maybe at a 9-iron length, the 9-iron at a 9-iron length, and the 8-iron at a 9-iron length, and then move up to like your 7, 6 and 5 probably at your 7-iron length, and then your 4-iron and 3-iron probably at like a 5-iron length. I think if you had it a little bit more progressive, you'd probably get a little bit more out of that club. I think having a pitching wedge that's that long, it just doesn't feel right, and it'll probably take a little time to get used to, but it might suit you. So in my personal opinion, is the one length worth it? Yes, it definitely is, for someone who's looking for something a little bit different. The high iron does breed confidence for me with its shorter length, but then I also did see that I wasn't getting the distance that I wanted out of it. It was just dropping out of the air a little bit too early. And that showed from the spin number. The spin numbers were quite low in comparison to my Callaway. So, there you go. If you've tried the Callaway, the Cobra one lengths, let me know what you think. Hit the like button down here. Make sure you click to subscribe. And we'll see you next time on ND Golf. Finally a good swing.